What is going on, guys? This is LSU Recruiting HQ. I'm your host, Michael, and it is September 7th, 2023. It's been a couple days now, man. We've had some time to process things, had some time to think about things, maybe even get more pissed off about things. I don't know. It's whatever you want. The first thing we gotta talk about, guys, is, man, you guys' support of the channel has been absolutely amazing. But if you're not already, man, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. All it does is help us out, man. It costs you absolutely nothing. It's completely free. We don't ask anything of you other than to subscribe to the channel. This is not pay to win content. This isn't even good content most of the time. But here we are, here you are. So, let's have a mutual agreement that we're going to subscribe to the channel. All right. You guys do that for me, man. We're going to go ahead and jump right in it. Obviously, LSU dropped their last game to Florida State by 21 points, man. And kind of sat back, reviewed didn't really watch the film, rewatched the game, though. And yeah, it looked just as bad as it did the first time. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. It was a sloppy showing. There were some positives I was able to take from the game, including a lot of the offensive plays. Believe it or not, you racked up 300 yards of offense in the first half, so there was a lot of good things to like. From the offensive side of the ball in the first half. You just kind of lost your way there in the second half, which is really surprising. I know guys have talked about it this week, but it's like you were a second half adjustment team last year. You played a lot of bad first halves, and then were able to bounce back and play amazing second halves because of the adjustments the coaching staff made. But this time, man, you just got your butt kicked, man, by Mike Norvell and that staff over there. Whatever they came out and did in the second half, on offense, they started using a lot of two-back sets, had guys out of their gaps for rush lanes, kind of opened up that run game for them. And then Jordan Travis is just a star, man. He is the real deal. All of the quarterback they advertised in the offseason, he's tremendous. Those wide receivers, obviously, we all saw firsthand how good they are. And they just had a great plan of attack, man, in the second half. On Saturday night or Sunday night, we kind of broke down how the game went, and kind of went through that lull, right, of, where they scored on 6 straight possessions. They went touchdown, field goal, touchdown, 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 touchdown. But in the first half, man, well, first of all, you were winning, right, at halftime, 17-14, against a very good Florida State team that played, well in the first half. It wasn't nothing that they did. Honestly, if you execute a couple fourth down plays, that score's probably wider. And that's kind of how football works, man. When you don't take with these new clock rules, man, you don't get as many chances, right? Everybody's been complaining about that. You get more commercials, you don't get as much game. It sucks for everybody, but you don't get as many chances. So when you miss out on opportunities in the red zone like LSU did, it kind of puts you in a hole, man, because you're not getting like make-up possessions for that. Like, you're getting what you're gonna get, to a sense, right? You're not getting the 100 plays that you were, 2 years ago or a year ago. You might only get 60 plays, and that's a tremendous difference in the game, and how it's played. So when you miss out on opportunities and the other team capitalizes on opportunities, obviously, that is where the problems lied for LSU. You go look at the stat sheet, right? The stat sheet's pretty similar. Both teams were pretty much dead even in every category except for third down conversions, where Florida State was 9 of 12. You were 3 of 11. You were 0 for 3 on fourth downs. Florida State was 2 for 2. And yeah, and obviously you have the couple critical drops there in the second half that kind of stalled out your offense. But a lot of people are coming at the offense with the quarterback play and the play calling. I really don't think that is the biggest problem that lies for this LSU team. I think that's kind of like a smoking gun at this point. People are just kind of using that as a scapegoat. Maybe because they want the other quarterback to play, or maybe they just don't like the system that's being run. I don't know. But the offense, I really don't think was the honest problem in this game. Obviously, the defense not being able to get a stop in the second half is a humongous problem. But I guess you kind of knew that going in, that was going to be a concern. Either way, it's inexcusable at any point in time to get shut out for almost a whole entire half, except for a garbage touchdown there late at the end. That's just inexcusable for any offense, let alone an offense as good as LSU's. Um, so what does this mean for LSU moving forward? Obviously, you have Grambling this weekend. You're going to beat Grambling by 100. All right. But there are some things that you need to keep an eye out on this weekend because, as you know, even though it is Grambling, this is a very important weekend for LSU. This is a weekend where are we going to see Harold Perkins line up in that position that he played last year? Or are they going to be stubborn? Or are they going to try to transition and go through these growing pains? And he might not get adjusted to that. In the first couple games, it might be half the season before he ends up playing that position at a high level, to where he can be effective. Or are they going to go back to kind of reverting what he did? Maybe stick Greg Penn in there at linebacker, right there in the middle, and have Perk line up on the outside. That's what I would do personally. Obviously, I don't make millions of dollars to make those decisions. It's on them. And you know what? If it works either way, I'm down. But you know what? If it doesn't work and they keep it doing the way what you're doing, there's going to be a lot of questions to be had with this coaching staff on why they did this. Why, if it ain't broke, don't fix it type thing. And I understand you have an obligation to the kid to prepare him for the NFL, but your first obligation is to win games at LSU. That is what you get paid for. And if that gives you the best chance to win, that's what's got to happen. So hopefully we see that this weekend. Hopefully we can see some wide receivers get in there. We can have a big bounce back game for Brian Thomas, guys like Kyron Lacey. Maybe Sheldon Sampson gets in there. Chris Hilton didn't play. Maybe even get Aaron Anderson some more touches. I like to see that kind of creativity with the offense of getting Aaron Anderson in motion. You go back and rewatch the game, man. Mike Norvell's offense, it just looks like a very complex system. Like, it looks like there's a lot of things to think about. And with LSU, they kind of just line it up and go at it sometimes. And, you saw on the first play of the game, they put Aaron Anderson in motion, fake the pitch to him, boom, back comes out the backfield wide open, boom, you get 60 yards, just like that. It's just little things like that that get, college kids thinking, right? Some kids are just like good athletes, man, and they just go out there and play, but sometimes that puts them out of position. If you can out-scheme them, you can get some humongous plays, which is what LSU needs in this offense. Would you believe it if I told you that their average yards per play was significantly higher than it was last year, in the 14 range, which is pretty damn good, as far as like getting the ball down the field. Really surprised to see that stat. Obviously, you need the running game to show up this one as well. You need to challenge your offensive line, man. This offensive line was built up all offseason on, how dominant they were going to be. It was going to be a position of skill, and I still think it can be, absolutely. They have too much talent on that offensive line for it not to be. But can they establish themselves and get a good running game going to open up that offense where you're not having to rely on Jaden Daniels throwing the football, 40 times a game? Because I'm going to be honest with you guys. Jane Daniels should be the quarterback, and if you don't think that, that's your opinion. Everybody likes Nussmeier. I love Nussmeier, man. He's going to be a great quarterback at LSU. But right now, Jaden's the quarterback, and you need to design this offense that better fits a skill set that he has. And throwing the ball 40 times is not doing that. Offensive line that can't block, bringing in 7 guys, kind of clogging up those lanes. What Florida State ended up doing that was so successful in the second half, where they were just kind of like sitting there letting them throw, man. They bring in the extra guys to block, and they wouldn't run routes, and they'd kind of just stand there. And Florida drop a couple guys back and just kind of spy Jaden. And there was no rush lanes because everything was kind of clogged up then. And that led to a lot of problems for LSU's offense. Obviously, when you don't score, you have a lot of problems. And granted, even with not being able to score, I still thought the offense did a decent job in the second half. And except for the critical mistakes, the mistakes on third downs and stuff like that, that stuff that moves the chains and keeps drives going, just wasn't going LSU's way. But that being said, man, it's such a long season. Obviously, it sucks, man. It sucks to do this for the 4th time in a row where you go out there and you get beat up on in the first game. But I got faith in this LSU team, man. They're too talented. I don't think they can do worse than what they did last year, which was go 9-3 in the regular season. That's what I had them going in the preseason. I thought they were a 9-win team again. Max being 11-1, less than that being 8-4. I had them on the lower scale there for my prediction. A lot of that middle ground is like 10-2. I had them at that 9-3 range because I thought they were going to lose to Florida State, and I thought they were going to lose to two other teams in the SEC. This team might not make it to Atlanta, but that's still a possibility. You have the whole entire season in front of you. You still play teams like Alabama. You still play teams like all the SEC teams on your schedule. So you have the chance to finish this season out just like you did last year. But Brian Kelly brought up something is like the guys that were on this team last year these guys aren't the same guys from last year. Like they didn't experience the losing before the 2020 season, the 2021 season of LSU playing 500 football. Being so successful towards the end of last year after not having expectations, this year coming in with tremendous expectations. We'll see where this team's at mentally, Brian Kelly talked about this a lot in the post game. Everybody harped on the fact that, he said this team wasn't what they thought they were. He wasn't talking about from a physical standpoint. He's talking about it from a mental standpoint, which is a majority of the game, man. Everybody's talented. Everybody's super gifted and what they can do. But it's all about how you prepare and how you react to adversity throughout the games, and your overall motivation to play the game, man. It is not the simplest thing in the world to say, just get up and go play every day. There's a process, man, and you really do win games by how you prepare throughout the week. It's not, the games aren't won and lost on Saturdays. The old saying is always that games are always won and lost Monday through Friday, or Sunday through Friday in your preparation. And that is such the truth, man. And this team just wasn't prepared. They went in that locker room. I guess they had some type of false confidence. Hey, we're winning. We played a bad half. And Florida State, man, just came out there and shellacked them. But like I said, man, we're going to find out a lot about this team. Not necessarily this week, but in 2 weeks when they head to Starkville for Mississippi State. That's a veteran team, man, a team with a lot of seniors playing on that team. They have a new coach, yes, but that is still the same roster that it was, and they played a lot of football together, so that could be a challenging game for LSU. We'll see what everything looks like then. Obviously, everything's going to change throughout the rest of the season, so nothing is kind of set in stone now. But yeah, man, that's what you got coming up. Like I said, it's a long season, man. Don't harp on it too much, guys. LSU's going to be just fine, man, with Brian Kelly, Jane Daniels, and the company. And they're going to have a tremendous rest of the season. I have no doubt about that. But for that, man, we're going to go ahead and sign off. And you guys have a great rest of y'all's weekend. I hope you guys enjoy if y'all are going to the game. Enjoy Tiger Stadium for the first time this year and plenty more. Where that came, man, we're just getting into this thing. So LSU football is in full swing now. So like I said earlier in the video, man, make sure, if you're not already, man, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Go ahead and like this video. Drop a comment on what you think about LSU and what their expectations should be for the rest of the season.